We are streaming now. And I want to talk about people who are right about politics, but wrong about life. What a mess. It is the first Sunday of White History Month. And this is a beautiful photograph if you're looking at the screen. It's very nice. I thought I'd share it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, hello guys. This is Sunday, July 7th, 2019. Let me push this down. First Sunday of White History Month 2019. Doesn't July just feel white, as Jesse Lee Peterson says? Yes, Jesse. Yes, it feels white. And part of the reason that it feels white is that, patriotism tends to be like a white thing. There's a lot of patriots who are non-white. That's nice. Appreciate it. That's why we're so inclusive. I don't like that word, inclusive. Inclusive means excluding and diminishing white people. That's basically what that means. And men and straight people and Christians. Oh, that's all that inclusive means. Tends to mean among the liberal. It's a liberal word. That's what that means. So, I wanted to give a little update on the Hake Report and take your calls. And you can call in 888-775-3773. But I wanted to talk about people that are get into politics. Seems like the more you get into politics, if you're, passionate about it but the more out of control your life is on your personal level. But I wanted to talk about, this has been my first week. I have completed my first week of the Hake Report 6 days a week, streaming 5 days, coming on after Jesse's show, Jesse Lee Peterson show. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. I can piggyback on his stream, take callers at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on the Jesse Lee Peterson channels. And then Sundays on my own channel, 9 a.m. Pacific time, Los Angeles time. Thank you guys for the calls. Thank you for the support. The D Live, Diamonds, Lemons, Ice Cream, Ninja Guineas, even Ninjets. And thank you guys for the super chats, because I do still get super chats. And by the way, thank you to Beastrick. Already gave me a super chat, gave the Hake Report a super chat. And Sparkles and stuff on Mixer. I'm on Twitch. Nobody's reported me for hate speech, unlike Jesse's channel, which is currently down. I am on, what else am I on? Facebook. Nobody's reported me yet for hate speech on the Hake Report page. I don't know if it's streaming. Let's find out. But you guys can get involved on any channel. I appreciate it. I will try to keep up with your comments. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the different things that are going on and the ways that you guys have helped, and the difference from when I started working here for the Jesse Lee Peterson show and when I started the Hake Report to today. Some of you guys have offered to help. I appreciate it. Thank you. Follow up if I don't get back to you. Or just start helping. I was thinking about the chatter Get a Job, the channel Get a Job. He, before ever talking with me or with Jesse that I know of, he started doing the tributes to Jesse Lee Peterson. And what he did was he started making these Jesse Lee Peterson savage moments. And then we started coming across him. Oh, that's cool. And then he started joining into our live chat on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, sometimes on the Hake Report too, and in church, and making these live and unplugged Jesse Lee Peterson when Jesse's singing. And it's so nice. And a lot of people come across his stuff and then come to Bond for church and stuff. So isn't that great? Just took the initiative and did it. And it's been both an expression of appreciation on his part by putting those things together. And it's been a good, nice way to get the word out. And then there's people around here. One of the guys, Mark over here, just started helping with events, bringing people together. I started putting out old 90s and 2008 videos from the cable access and the church streaming days. I didn't really talk with anybody about it, although one of the engineers here told me about it and kind of pushed me towards that, because he wanted to get the Black Hebrew Israelites 1996 Jesse Peterson TV show episode out. And we eventually did that, and then I got the bug. And then one of the guys, actually, one of the faithful fans, requested that we start putting out these old church services. And so I did, and it's been really nice. When I started, October 2013, working as Jesse Lee Peterson show producer, the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show producer, it was a mouthful of a name. Jesse's 3-hour show was really 2 hours of show, 3 40-minute podcasts, plus standard news and commercials. And the news and commercials were sometimes, it's that pre-recorded stuff from those official news station people. It wasn't me reading the news. And so some people tended to not like that as much. And then we would put out maybe 1 or 2 or 3 YouTube videos per week. This was before we were streaming on YouTube and all these other platforms. Then we would stream church from the website, bondinfo.org, which is now rebuildingtheman.com. Same thing. One redirects to the other. And we would put out a 5, 10, 15-minute excerpt. The audio engineer would. This was before Joel. And today, July 2019, we are streaming 4 hours Monday through Friday, every day, 4 hours a day on all these platforms. 2 hours and 45 minutes of Jesse, and then 1 hour and 15 minutes of me, because I'm reading the news for 15 minutes during Jesse's show, 5 minutes per hour. Just 1 minute of commercial per hour, so isn't that nice? We're giving a lot more, we're putting out a lot more content, taking a lot of calls. A lot of you guys are calling in with real issues, not just complaining about politics like some of us are prone to just fall into, ignoring our own personal lives, personal mess. And of course, Sunday, we're streaming at least an hour and a half on like 4 different channels, sometimes over 2 hours. And during the week, I try to put out clips and the older content from a decade or more ago that I told you about. And then I have some t-shirt designs I want to put up for sale, more t-shirt designs. You can get this one at jesseleepeterson.com. Look for the Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring page banner. There are multiple Teespring banners. And then I have a lot of correspondence to wade through. Thank you guys for writing, calling, and all that stuff. So cool. Let me get to a couple of calls before I talk about being into politics outside, but out of control personally. Robert out of Augusta, Georgia. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you.
Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Amazing. I just want to real quick say congratulations. 6 more hours, 6 hours of Hake a week is it's amazing.
Yeah, that's nice, huh?
And then I wanted to talk about Black people.
Okay.
I grew up in Wyoming and western Nebraska, so there weren't Black people at all, pretty much. And when I moved down here, and pretty recently I made a friend with a guy, he Black, and He invited me over to his house, and I was talking to his grandfather, because his grandfather's like old time,
Yeah.
And he is like old time man, but we were talking on religion, and he's into the whole Jesus is God thing. But one thing he said to me, he was talking about how somewhere in the Bible it's like those who are at the bottom will rise to the top, and he was talking about white people. The top will become the bottom, and the bottom will become the top.
Yeah.
And I know he was talking about white people. And it was so funny because he was like looking at me as he was doing this, and then, And then I think it was Friday on Jesse Lee Peterson's show, when I think the caller, Tony, was like, you reap what you sow, when he was talking about white people.
Yeah.
But, like, one thing that still, like, gets me is, even if all this reparations and all this white people genocide stuff does happen, like, my ancestors didn't have slaves at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I know I could prove that because they just, my family didn't come into America until pretty recently, considering, how long America's been around.
Yeah.
And so I guess I just want to say, like, it's like I live in an apartment building where I'm like I'm like the only white person I see around.
Oh, yeah.
And
In Augusta?
all these black people are like saying the N-word to each other and stuff. Like, they're old people.
Right. Wow.
And it's so interesting. Like, when I bring my black friend around, like, all the old black people downstairs, they sit outside and, drink beer and smoke cigarettes. They never talk to me, but when he comes around, they're always like, what's up, man? Or
Yeah.
like, you got any cigarettes or something like that? So it's so like weird, because I knew Mexicans hated white people, but I always thought it was just like a meme that black people hated white people, like truly do hate white people. Not all, but most.
Yeah.
Do you find that as you walk through town or anything like that? Like in LA, is it pretty apparent there?
I would say, I don't walk through town a lot, but I don't really notice it like that. I do notice that, blacks tend to nod and acknowledge each other. And I don't know if this, like your neighbors say, that don't acknowledge you or talk to you at least. Maybe they're just not comfortable around you. Where it's, they do hate whites, but it's not like they may not even be thinking, oh, I hate this guy. They just are not comfortable around you. Whereas with the black culture, they just say hi to each other, even if they don't know each other. That's one thing that I've noticed, and it's like, okay, I've heard people say that that's like that brotherhood that they have, which is not, because in reality, like, when it comes down to it, once they get to know each other, they don't like each other anymore. Or, the families don't like each other anymore. And, or ever like each other. So, I don't know what to tell you, but I would say that don't sweat it, just be nice to them. Well,
yeah, I still acknowledge them and stuff. But,
yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Anyway, you remember how you said how you have troubles like doubting every thought?
Yeah.
As if they lie? Like,
right.
I've kind of got overcome that, where I can see that every thought is a setup. However, I still catch myself lusting after women, and I guess I don't know how to overcome that.
Yeah.
Do you?
Maybe it'll just take time. Like, you're a young man, so you're kind of supposed to be eventually getting married and stuff, make white babies and stuff. So
I'm million white babies.
What's that?
I said 1 million white babies.
Yeah, 1 million of them. So I would say that Jesse makes a good point that the fallen state is what that's for. So just be
It's so that I
patient. Just
can
be patient
overcome?
with yourself. And
Okay.
yeah, it's like it's not right to be lusting, right? But
Yes.
just be patient with yourself. Is what I would say.
Amazing.
Make sense? That's
Yeah.
interesting about the way that black people think, and especially these Christians, or with this South Africa thing, the way that they react with this South Africa thing, where the South Africans are being kind of genocided, or basically they're going after them. They really hate the whites, and it's so unjust what's happening to them. So many blacks here, not knowing the situation, will claim that they're getting what they deserve. And then the whites becoming a minority here, that the whites are bringing it on themselves, but not bringing it on themselves because they're weak, but bringing it on themselves because of racism and stupid stuff like that. I've noticed that they fall for that lie, and that's a shame. But did you dispute that at all with your friend's grandpa?
Not necessarily. He like invited me to his church. It's like a hoop and a hollering church.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the pastor is kind of like him. He was saying, and like he was saying, like my friend's grandpa was saying that he learned everything about spirituality from his pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a shame, man. There's so much fake Christianity, and it is among whites too. Otherwise, the whites wouldn't be losing our country. So we got to check ourselves. But if you get the chance, it would be nice to correct that with him.
more red pills.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Robert. Nice to hear from you.
Yes, thank you. If California falls into the ocean, you guys can stay in my living room.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
All right.
James Hake.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
Have a
Take
good
care. Bye. On Periscope, Ken WP says, "Isn't White History all year long?" No, man, it's anti-white history nowadays. You'll notice that the culture is upplays the so-called racism that supposedly happened or happens, and they're trying to take down white history. So he means that white people have invented so much that there's history every month. Yeah. So let me get to a little bit more callers. Samuel out of Sweden. How are you doing, Samuel? Nice to hear from you.
I'm doing well, and thanks for a great show.
Yeah, thank you for calling in.
And
thanks for the support, as always.
I want to call and I want to congratulate you for expanding your show to 6 days a week.
Thank you.
And it couldn't come in a better time because I just got my what do you call it? My month without job. You don't know what to call it. Semester vacation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Vacation month.
Nice.
Vacation. Yeah, and I started here 1st July, so I every day I wake up at the morning. I remember, yes, an hour with the week.
Right on, man.
Yes, it's a happy summer month start, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Man, I appreciate that, Samuel. That's nice that you're on vacation. You should come out to LA sometime.
Oh, if I only had the means to do that, I would gladly done it. I was checking into maybe travel to the men's year meeting, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't work out.
Oh, okay. Maybe next year for men's conference.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool, man. Anything else?
Yeah. No, not really.
All right. Happy.
Keep up the good work. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And
Happy White History Month to you, Samuel.
The same to you. Have a nice White History Month.
I appreciate it. Take care. So, Ken WP asks, so what are they trying to replace it with? Meaning they're taking down white history and replacing it with communism, basically, I think. Communism. They're just bringing in this fake diversity and fake love and tolerance and peace. But it's, multiculturalism. But it's all a ploy just to get power. It's because whites are the only threat to their power. Whites tend to be Republicans, conservatives, pro-Trump, and they're anti-Trump, anti-conservative, anti-Christian, anti-white, because the whites don't go along with them. The whites have more sense. They're losing their sense, but some of them are getting it back, and that's nice, and other POCs are getting it back too. So thank you guys. Thank you, Trump. Thank you to the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, the Fallen State, the Church of Jesse Lee Peterson is doing a lot. Let me quickly, before I get to more calls, talk about this. I've noticed that the more passionate I get about politics, talking about the evil outside of myself, the more out of control I am personally. It's happened over the years. And I've noticed this in others too, like the more insane they get, even if they're right about the things that they're criticizing, the more personal issues. Thank you, Ken. All the best to you too. Yeah, I don't think he agrees with me, but that's cool. You can call in too, Ken, if you want. 888-775-3773. But I've noticed that people fighting online, people getting mad and trying to make other people mad, being self-righteous, meanwhile being a piece of trash in their own life, well, just is spiraling. Anybody relate to that? I noticed that is a mess. By the way, let me show you this picture. There is a thumbnail. My thumbnail today was I took it at the beach last night, and I just thought it was a nice photograph, so I thought I would share it with you guys. Isn't that cool? Zoom in on it if you can. Just like, wow. I like the water. I like at least looking at the water. I don't know about swimming in it. Nowadays, like, there's so much unhealthy stuff that could happen. But I just thought the city, the lights, the sky, the water, it's nice being outside sometimes. Just thought I would share that with you. Thank you, guys. Cancer is a water sign. Cancer is a water sign? Meaning like my birthday?
Yeah.
Joelle is telling me astrology stuff. Such a heathen. But yeah, cool. Charlie out of Tennessee, first time caller. How are you doing?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Going well, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
All right. I was going to talk about white history, man.
Cool, right on. Tell me about white history.
Well, let's see. I did some genealogy research and found out that my grandfather, which several generations grandfather, like great,
Wow.
he was a slave owner. He owned like
in America?
20 slaves. Huh?
20 slaves in America?
Yeah, man, in Tennessee.
Wow, that's awesome. How did you find that out?
Well, genealogy, man.
Okay.
You just go back and search each generation, and I'd heard rumors of it, but nobody had ever proved it.
Right.
I finally found the proof.
Nice. Have you found any? Did they wouldn't have had photographs back then, huh? Or would they?
No, I got photographs from like the ones where they had
Is this
flash bulb?
Say that again. Sorry.
The ones where they do the flash bulb thing, the.
Yeah.
But I think that was later on.
Okay.
I have no pictures.
Nice, man.
I've got the genealogy records and stuff.
Did you find out anything else about him? Any details?
Oh yeah, I got all. He was all three of my great grandfathers that had slaves were fought in the Revolutionary War.
Wow. So you're
the father.
Okay, yeah.
You ever seen the movie The Patriot?
Yeah. No, I've seen parts of it. Yeah, the one with Mel Gibson and is that the Revolutionary War?
Yeah, and that was his 2 sons and him, that's kind of reminds me of my grandfather. I don't think it's exactly like that, but
Yeah.
something probably similar, where they all went off together, and they all ended up getting land grants in North Carolina. And then when Tennessee broke off from North Carolina, they bought land in Tennessee, or
Yeah.
traded in their land grants, and moved to Tennessee.
Wow, that's so fun. That's nice, man.
Oh, and I know. And then I found out that a lot of the slaves, when they got freed, they didn't want to leave. Where were they supposed to go?
Right. Yep.
Well, they wouldn't just go turn them out on the street. A lot of them stayed and actually took the name of the slave owners, because slaves did not have a last name.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Slaves had just like a first name, like John
Yeah.
or whatever, but they were all American names.
Right.
And I mean, look at Jesse. His name is Peterson.
Right.
That's not a black name.
It is now, but that's not a
No, at some point it had to be a beginning.
right.
Look at, what's the woman from Texas? I can't think of her name. Sheila Jackson Lee.
Right.
She's a black woman with Jackson and Lee in her name.
Yeah.
As much as she hates white people, I'd say she'd change her name, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Man, the blacks today that are upset about this slavery stuff, they're so blind. They don't. It wasn't like what they're taught. They come up with like the most horror story examples that they can come up with, and they dramatize them and make them even worse than they probably really were. And then they act like that was rampant and widespread and the typical example, when I bet you whites treated their slaves better than any other race or country treated their slaves, the whites in America, because the whites in America were Christians, and the Bible has said for a long time to be just to your slaves.
Exactly.
And stuff like
I'll
that.
tell you what, Jesse is right. I was born in 1951 at the very end of Jim Crow,
Okay.
and I remember the white water fountains and the black water fountains, and I remember all that. But my grandfather's farm backed up to a black farmer's farm, and they were best friends.
Yeah.
They helped each other out on the farm. He went over there and helped him get his crops in, and they come to his farm and helped get his crops in.
Yep.
There was none of that crap going on, man.
You know who else says that is somebody that Jesse interviewed on the Fallen State, Phil Robertson, another old timer. He was a sharecropper. He said we was white trash, and we would work next to the blacks too, and they were happy.
The white people were just as poor as black people, most of them.
Yeah, the South was pretty poor.
It was, man. I've got pictures in 1930 of kids in school, and 35 or 40% of them didn't even have shoes on, and the ones that did have shoes on were terrible looking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody was poor then, not just black people.
Yep.
Everybody was. I wanted to get in and talk to Jesse, but I can't stay online for no 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, call early and often. You're in Tennessee, so it would be Central Time, I think. Well, it depends on what part of Tennessee you're in.
Yeah, I'm in Central.
Okay, so then it would be 8 a.m. Call right at 8, and he'll get to you if you can. He would love to talk with you.
I love
I would think.
stories about when he was a kid, and I can relate to that, man.
Yeah.
I was a city boy, lived in Nashville, and we would go visit the farm, and I loved to go spend summers because I thought it was fun, baling hay, and all the farmer kids thought I was a fool. They thought it was work, and I thought it was play.
Right. That is nice,
anyway,
man.
I just wanted to tell you I don't want to take up your whole show, man.
No problem. Thank you very much for this white history contribution. I appreciate it.
And I wanted to call in because I think a lot of people, surely I'm not the only one that can call in with some kind of white history.
Right.
Not something out of a book.
Yep.
Something that actually really relates to your family.
Yeah.
And can you call in and say, my great-great-grandfather was this or that or this? Surely I can't be the only one.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's a lot out there that have a long history in America.
Let's talk white history. It's our month.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good day.
All right, you too. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye. Ryan out of Concord, California. Ryan, how are you? Ryan, you there? Ryan. Check on Ryan's screener, and if not, tell him to hang up and call back. Ryan, hang up and call back if you don't hear us. Hopefully you'll figure that out. Mike out of San Diego. How are you doing, Mike?
Yo, James.
Hey.
Is it me?
Yes, it's you. It's you, Mike.
Good morning, bro.
Good morning.
Show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right on. Hey, so by the way, this is the white Jew hater who got kicked out.
Which one? There's so many.
There's a bunch.
Out of church, or out of church, or or hung up on.
Oh no! Remember, I got kicked out of church a few
okay.
months back.
Okay.
I came in saying that Trump is a bad guy because he works for the Jews.
Yeah. Okay. I remember you.
My bad.
So you're down in San Diego right now. Nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got some stuff to do down here today, so I'm not going to make it into church, but I usually can make it like every other week.
Okay.
Hey, man, I called in and I talked to Jesse on the show the other day on 4th of July.
All right.
And I was the last caller, and we ran out of time. But I asked Jesse a question, and his answer was so interesting. And I want to ask you, and maybe you could even ask him at church. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so I asked him, you know how so many times somebody will bring up something like, they'll say something, oh, well, Paul in the Bible says this, and Jesse says, well, where's Paul now?
Right.
I rest my case. So I was thinking about it, like, where's Jesus now? And I realized I don't have an answer to that. I don't even know what Jesse would say.
Yeah.
So where is Jesus? And what Jesse had said is that Jesus is in a spiritual place in the soul of our belly.
Oh, I think I overheard your call.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't hear it totally because I was running in and out, but I heard him mention that. That's an interesting idea. I don't know either. I'm like you. I don't know. I know that he rose again. I know that he's alive, right? Because he did die, but then he came back.
I mean,
but other than that, I know. I was gonna say. He's seated at the right hand of the Father, but
right.
that's like something I read in the Bible or heard, and that's just reciting. So
yeah, exactly. Like for me, when it comes down to it, all I know is that there's a lot of things that Jesus supposedly says in the Bible. Because Jesus didn't even write it. Somebody wrote it, however many years later, and maybe they were there, maybe they weren't. Maybe they're getting the words right, maybe they're not. Maybe they're making it up. I don't know. But there's something about those things that Jesus is saying. And Jesse's saying it too, about forgiveness and love and patience and all of these things and how they're like spiritually valuable and they can set you free from sin and anger. And I'm with that. I'm totally with that. Because I can test it in my own life and find out, like, oh, yeah, that to me, that seems true. And I can check it out and try it,
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I don't really know, dude. Like, the stories, all the miracles, and then even the story about his death and rising again, maybe that's true. Or maybe people just wrote that because for whatever their, extra motives were. I don't know if that's true, and I don't know how to find out if that's true. But I want to find out from Jesse, like, why does he believe that? Like, what's his deal with Jesus? Because he hardly ever even talks about Jesus, too, right? He talks about Jesus' ideas and teaching, but not really, like, telling us about... Because in Christian church, they're always telling us that you got to believe Jesus died for your sins and rose again to forgive you for your sins, and it was the blood of Jesus that washes your sins away.
I never hear Jesse say any of that stuff.
That's
so I'm
interesting.
trying to figure out,
well, he does
what do
say
you
that
think?
he does say that he put it all back together, and he said that it is finished, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think most people
Right.
don't really understand the connection. Like, he had a 2008 episode of the Sunday service that we put out, and in it he asks me, 27-year-old or whatever, me,
Right.
and I tell him that I don't really understand. I don't really understand the connection of how one thing that's written in the Bible led to us being freed from sin and stuff like that. I don't really see the connection. Yeah, I get that he paid for the punishment, right? But beyond that, I don't really follow what happens spiritually. And
Right.
so I don't really have this. I don't really have the same doubts, or I don't even really question or think about the miracles and stuff like that, because I just never. I've never found a reason to say, oh, that's possibly not true. I've just never really
Right.
found it worthwhile to even question it. Like the people that are atheists, I don't get why they care so much about that stuff. To me, it seems like a shallow
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah,
Because
that kind of happened to me when I was young. I kind of went through that, so I'm kind of over it now because I'm at the point where it's sort of like maybe it happened, maybe not. It doesn't really matter.
yeah,
But when I was a young person, I was raised in church, and you know how Jesse said sometimes when you're raised with the Bible or Christian parents, it can traumatize you. Well, that was me.
yep,
And so when I became a young man and started coming into my own as a young adult, I started realizing that all these people who had been teaching me about the Bible and about Jesus, they don't know what they're talking about at all.
yeah,
So when I started realizing that, I started kind of doubting everything and questioning it. And when I started questioning, I found all sorts of holes in the story and all sorts of different opinions and all sorts of other things to think about. And I was lost for years, man. It really messed me up.
yeah, yeah. It's a shame when you feel
now-
like betrayed by the people that acted like they knew what they were talking about, and they were doing their
At
best.
first, I felt betrayed and angry, and then I realized, like Jesse says, they couldn't help it. They're just kind of like, they were traumatized with it, and they're kind of like blind and lost too. So I just forgive them.
Yeah,
But it's still up to us then to look at it and go, well, then what is all that? What are all these stories? And like, I mean, did he really walk on the water? Did he really turn water to wine? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter that much, but why is it written in there? And maybe it did happen, or not. But I can still see that there is some sort of weird spiritual battle going on. That's what I can see in my own life and in the world. There is something going on here in myself and in the world around us and in culture and in politics and in history. It's playing out like there's something going on, right? Like, what are we involved in here? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
yeah,
And then Jesus plays into it somehow, and I'm like, well, what is that? Like, where is Jesus? And how does that play into 2,000 years later, what we're doing today? So I want to, do you ever think about Jesus?
yeah. Sometimes I think that when I read the Bible, like when I've read the Bible over the years, the principles that I come across, they just ring true to me. And the stuff, the advice that those guys give, and the generally what God tells them, and the way that they do well for a while, then get spoiled and fall away, and the son is worse than the father, and then his son gets better, and then his son gets worse, and then they become worse and worse and worse. All that stuff it just rings true to me. I relate to it. But I think that Jesse has the right idea in terms of you should know yourself and get to deal with your own issues before you worry about the truth of the Bible. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm with that. I'm so with that, and that's why for a year I've been listening to Jesse, and he's got me back into even thinking about Jesus in the Bible in that way, just because I agree with him so much that There's an inner change that needs to go on. And
yeah, that's the other thing is everybody that I've respected most have been Christians. They believe in Jesus. So why wouldn't I stick with that? I mean,
yeah,
whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I get that for sure, because like I said, that's what happened to me when I was a kid. But then I found out they were all bozos.
Right.
but there still are a bunch of good ones, I suppose. And I haven't got to get to know Jesse personally. I only know him from the show and from church, where he's sort of in like a presentation mode.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can trust him, to be honest. I love what he's saying, and it makes sense to me, but I'm still, like, I don't even know. Maybe Jesse's full of it. I don't know. But you know more than me, so I'm not saying that he is. I'm just like, I don't know.
That's why you stick with his good advice that you know is good advice. Know for yourself. Don't take his word for it or anybody else's. But it's just like on an intellectual level, I'm like one of those intellectual Christians where intellectually I'm a Christian, but spiritually, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I'm like I'll believe it when I see it. That's where I'm at this point.
Yeah.
But so I like that Jesse gives us things to go do and try, and then like see for yourself. So
yeah.
When he's like, you'll get set free from anger if you go forgive your parents, I'm listening and I'm like, well, I've had all sorts of anger problems in my life, and they really messed up my life bad.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'll go forgive my parents. And dude, when I did that, it was so interesting, man. When I forgave my mom specifically a few weeks ago, dude, what happened is, dude, she showed me like the demon that lives inside.
Right. Yep.
That's what she did, dude. When I gave her forgiveness, it was like the demon showed up and was like, "Oh hell no, you do not forgive." And it was like tempting me to get angry at it. It started being rude and mean and like playing the victim, and it started like trying to suck me into its world. And I was able to sit there and watch it happen right in front of my eyes. And it was like a revelation, like, oh, this is why you have to forgive your mom, because she's going to show you what's wrong with you. Because I've seen that demon in me before.
Oh, wow.
You know what
man.
I mean?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was like getting to look in the mirror and see this dark force that had been ruining my life embodied in my mom's face. And I was like, whoa. It blew my mind.
That's a nice report, Mike. I got to keep moving, but thank you for the call.
I can't talk all day. Have a great day, Jake.
Happy White History Month to you.
Yeah, right on, bro. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Later.
Ryan, Ryan, hang on, Ryan. Let me just quickly read some super chats. I know you've been on hold for a while, but be strict once again. Thank you. Mark Hidalgo, thank you for the super chat. This guy, BH1, a fan. It was such a great fan, but I hate reading his username. BH1, why are some Americans so brainwashed that they think a military parade is a sign of fascism? Howdy, boss. That is a good question. The brainwashing has been going on a long time. I would say over 100 years, the brainwashing has been happening. And they've been pushing and pushing and pushing anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-military, anti-blah, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of, I had a European professor, liberal. Actually, he wasn't even really European, but he had that European liberal mindset, anti-America mindset, looking down on us, thinking that we were prideful and over-patriotic. Meanwhile, like, he's the one pridefully judging us. Well, he said that Europeans are afraid of American patriotism and nationalism because they think that leads to Nazism, National Socialism. And we all know what Nazism did, or do we? But anyways, the brainwashing has really infected Europe with this liberalism, and it's really infected half of America. And so the decline, the white moral decline, the black moral decline, the Mexican moral decline, the diversity moral decline, all that stuff has been a long time coming. So People think that the military is fascist. So ridiculous. Jimmy Morgan, did you feel the earthquake? That's his super chat. Thank you, Jimmy Morgan. Yes, I felt the earthquake. I was going to mention that. So I felt the earthquake on the 4th of July? After the Jesse Lee Peterson show, after the Hake report, about 10:30 in the morning. I felt it, and Canadian Nick felt it, and he thought that he was just dizzy. I'm like, that's an earthquake. And he's like, what should we do? I'm like, I guess we should go under the door jamb. Because that's like a strong structure part. So if the ceiling comes down, it won't hit us that much. But and then I felt it again just the other day. I guess that was Friday evening, around 8:30, 8:15, something like that. Very nice, cool. I was in a second floor room, and it was awesome. Those two earthquakes kind of threw off, especially the first one, threw off my like equilibrium, and I felt like I was constantly feeling an earthquake. I was like, oh man, what's happening? And since then, I've also, in between all those times, and maybe even to today, I felt little earthquakes happening, but I look around and like nobody else is noticing. So is it my imagination or is it real? But yeah, the earthquake is so cool. At least so far. I'm not that into people getting hurt. I'm not into that at all. But yeah. Born Mature 1 says, this is a good caller. Critical thinking about the Bible, referring to Mike out of San Diego. Critical thinking about the Bible / Jesus. I know Jesse isn't big on the Bible, though. The truth is written in your heart, etc. Although he reads it, he quotes from it. He's just not harping on it. I used to listen to Christian music, and and then I started to listen to more like so-called secular music or music that was made by Christians, but not necessarily Christian music. And I remember people would mock the notion of JPMs, right? The number of JPMs is Jesus per minute. The number of times that you mention Jesus' name per minute. They're mocking the notion that some people judge a Christian song based on how frequently they hear the name of Jesus and stuff like that. And if they mention Jesus a lot, then, oh yeah, that's a good Christian band. And I thought that was a ridiculous mockery. I don't think that people really think like that. But maybe in a sense they kind of do. Like Jesse, the stuff that you hear in church, Bond Rebuilding the Man, subscribe, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Check it out. Like Bond Rebuilding the Man on Facebook. I think Facebook is still censoring us. I can't even stream on Facebook right now. Those are all stuff that Jesus talked about. Principles. And your life is what's supposed to prove it. So, just, excuse me, practicing with this mute button. Just wanted to mention that. So, yeah. Ryan, oh shoot, hold on. Ryan out of Concord, California, how are you doing?
All is well, James. How are you doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for calling back.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to talk to you about White History Month.
Cool.
So, about a few years ago, I had to do this family history project for one of my college classes, and I had to go on Ancestry.com, and my mom also helped me with it by getting a bunch of documents from her storage. And I don't know if you've heard of a family. They're called the Fairbanks family. Have you heard of them before?
No. I've heard that name before, Fairbanks, but
yeah,
I don't know about the family, no.
So it's a huge family, and there's over 5,000 descendants of the Fairbanks family, and I'm actually one of them.
Wow.
And I'll just give you a couple of famous Fairbanks, because I could go on forever about it. But the first Fairbanks was Jonathan Fairbanks, and he was born in Yorkshire, England, and he came over on a boat next to the Mayflower. The boat was called the Griffin, and he came over here in 1633, and he built the Fairbanks house, where he and his family lived until the early 1900s. But the Fairbanks house is actually still standing today. It is a historic American landmark, and it's been preserved and protected. It's actually the oldest timber frame house in America today.
Wow.
And so that was Jonathan Fairbanks, and I'm sure you've heard of this Fairbanks. His name was Douglas Fairbanks Jr. He was a famous actor in Hollywood in the 1930s through the 1940s. And Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Was in a famous movie called Rulers of the Sea. And he shot that in Oakland, California. And so I thought that was cool. And then the last Fairbanks I want to tell you about is Charles Warren Fairbanks. Charles Warren Fairbanks was born in Ohio. He actually was appointed to the United States Senate in 1896. And in 1904, Charles Warren Fairbanks was asked by Teddy Roosevelt to be his vice president. And so Charles Warren Fairbanks was the vice president of the United States from 1904 to 1909.
Wow.
He served 4 years as vice president, but he was a Republican. And it was just really cool to see all this rich history that I have in the Fairbanks family. The last male Fairbanks on my side was in 1912, and then from there they became the Ottoleys, and then when they married my dad, they became the Moons. So I can trace my ancestry all the way back to Jonathan Fairbanks to when he first came over here with the Mayflower, and up to now. But it was just so cool to see all the rich history, the actors, the vice presidents, and everything.
Yeah, I bet. That's some serious white history you got in your family lineage.
And Fairbanks House is actually turned into a museum, and you can actually go visit it today. It's in Dedham, Massachusetts, Deadham, Dedham, Massachusetts, and it's a museum now because it's the oldest timber wood house still standing in America. And my grandmother, she paid $5,000 to have a certificate in my name saying that I'm a legit ancestor. So anytime I want to go to the house and walk around, I don't need like a tour or anything. I could just go. But I've never been before, and I really am looking forward to going soon.
Yeah. You could kick up your heels, pop up in a lemonade, watch TV. That's cool.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, go ahead and Wikipedia or Google the Fairbanks family, and
yeah,
man, there's just so much history.
Nice. That is awesome, man. Yeah, and I've thought about the founders, the ones that wrote and signed the Declaration of Independence and stuff. I'm like, how are we going to reach that level of greatness? I'm like looking around and at myself and at us, this generation. Like, is that possible that we could become strong like that and real leaders? It would be so nice to. That's part of why I think White History Month is so nice, because it reminds us that kind of how far we've fallen and that we gotta get it back together. Yeah, man, that's cool though.
Well, just to go off your point, I think I do have hope in our generation. I think I've been so inspired by reading about my Fairbanks family that it just made me, think about it. My Fairbanks family voted for almost every single president since our founding in 1776. But since 1600s, the Fairbanks family has been doing so much for Massachusetts and all their descendants, going to California and Alaska and all these other states, and really changing. I think maybe what you're getting at is the whole cultural Marxist is really what screwed our generation over, because, I read this rich history and I say, wow, there's so much, men were just men back then, and how can I be like that? So I kind of look back in the past to maybe get a little bit of revelation from my ancestors and say, how can I be like that? And I would encourage everyone to do their ancestry if they haven't done it yet, because it just really just is enlightening for somebody like me to, go out there and actually change society just like my ancestors did,
All right, Ryan. Nice.
But yeah, I think it's a cultural Marxism.
I think that, that's his, when you say that, I think that that's infected even the conservative side to a major extent. They fall,
right.
It's like, even to a personal level.
Marxism doesn't have
I don't know if
a
cultural
base.
Marxism does it quite. That's a big part of it, but, I don't know. I think it's just weak. I think Jesse explains it really well by just calling it weak men. And that's a plain, simple, nice explanation.
Yeah, there's just been an attack on them for so many generations now that I feel like young boys and young adult males are just kind of like seeing society and saying, why would I be manly? I'm just going to get demonized.
Yeah, just go be an incel or a MGTOW or a alt-right or something.
And I could see why those people go those ways, but it's not the end result. That's not.
It's victimhood.
Where we belong.
Yeah.
In MGTOW, like that's ridiculous. I couldn't.
I know.
I didn't even know that was a thing until I watched Jesse's Fallen State with those 4 panelists.
Yeah.
In the incel.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know about those things.
That's funny. I appreciate it, Ryan. I got to get some more callers, but thank you for your white history contribution, Mr. Fairbanks.
Sure, man.
Mr. Moon.
Yeah, happy White History Month, and check out the Fairbanks family. A lot of rich history.
Okay, I will. Take care, man.
Take care, bye.
Bye. Chris out of Dodge City, Kansas. How are you doing,
Hey,
Chris?
James.
Hey.
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
I really enjoyed your shows this week. That's pretty cool. You're up to that now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you ever have you lost any friends over politics?
Yeah, big time.
Like since Trump?
Especially, mostly it was during Obama.
During Obama.
Yeah. But
when they,
yeah, with Trump a little bit.
Some of those folks play for keeps. I was your topic today. It just reminded me this morning. During the primaries, the presidential primaries, it was Bernie and Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister was a total Bernie, totally into Bernie Sanders.
Okay. All right.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
And I told her I can't support him, because he's communist or socialist or Democrat socialist, whatever he calls himself.
It's all the same.
Yeah, and she stopped talking to me. She warned me. She said, I'm trying really hard, but I hadn't talked to my sister since maybe one time since 2015 over Bernie Sanders, man.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
And but some of these people are so into politics. They play for keeps. They'll throw their mama under the bus, stop talking to family members, and our disagreement wasn't even. Everything's kind of humorous to me, but our disagreement wasn't even a big deal,
What was the incident? Did you guys keep talking about it or what?
No. She liked to talk a lot about politics, and I said, I just can't. People were trying to get me over. The Bernie Sanders people were out like crazy. They were trying to get people over, to their side, and she was trying to do that with me, and I said, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Because
is she a Christian?
Communist. She goes to a Methodist church. So I don't know.
So does Hillary Clinton.
I don't know if she's a Christian or not. But no, but, they do crazy stuff at her church, gay marriage, and
oh man, what a mess!
All kinds of crazy stuff. But they play for keeps. It's a strange time to be in because I've never that's just not my world. I don't understand that. I just don't get how you just cut somebody off because they want to vote for someone else. You know? But that's what the world's like now.
It's crazy. Like, she shouldn't even be concerned about that. And meanwhile, she's like, blah, 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 Bernie. I can kind of picture that. Yeah. What a mess, man.
Hey, I loved coming out there to the men's.
Yeah, it was nice seeing you.
Men's conference. Yeah, it was wonderful. The only thing that really bothered me, man, is I had to drive across Obama Boulevard to get to go.
I know. I had to turn on that street too. It used to be called Rodeo Road or something like that. Much better name.
Was it?
I'm sorry, Chris, but I appreciate you coming out. It was cool. Nice to see you and your family.
Something. So.
All right, Chris.
But yeah, keep up the good work, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, God bless you all, and hold on tight through those trimmers. They say there's going to be 1,000. There's been 3,000 of them.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, Chris. Take care, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Guys, I got to go. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. Bond Rebuilding the Man on YouTube. Make sure you go there. I'm James Hake of the Hake Report. We'll be back tomorrow, too. Bye.